So, is CNAT ready? Okay. All right. Well, good morning, Center County. Let's call the Commissioners' meeting to order here at 10 o'clock. Those who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? No? All right, we'll move forward to the meeting minutes. The board will consider approving the minutes from the Board of Commissioners meeting held on June 18th. Any changes to the minutes? No? All right.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting held June 18th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting held on June 18th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll have to, I believe, abstain because I was not at that meeting. So meeting minutes pass 2-0. Now we'll move on to our presentation from CEDACOG, which is our regional economic development group. I was president of the organization last year and really enjoyed my time. We have Kim Wheeler, the executive director from CEDACOG here. I believe you're in the ballpark of 80 to 90 employees.
We are, right in there.
And budget of about 10 million.
Yes.
And you generally either bring in enough business or save counties and municipalities enough money that I think it's roughly, what, a 25 or 30 to 1 payback for every dollar the county government
A little bit
puts in.
higher than that.
Even higher than that.
Yep, closer to 40, but
40. There
yeah,
we
and
go.
it's different in every county, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But
Great.
yeah, thank you so much for the introduction.
You're welcome. So you brought several people from the team, too.
You have quite the contingency from CEDACOG here today, so thank you for having us, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you. This is the purpose of today's meeting is for me to go over our county activity report from 2023, and it is June, and we realize that, but with everyone's schedules, ours and the commissioner's schedules, it's pushed us to today, and we're grateful to be able to have this opportunity to, one, sit with you and be able to share with the audience and those online some of the engagements and impacts that CEDACOG has had in Center County, but also have an opportunity with you after the meeting today to speak with you more particularly about our services. So thank you again. We like to start off just for a few moments just sharing a little bit about the totality of CEDACOG, and then I'll get into some of the details on the handout that you have in front of you. Again, as Commissioner Higgins mentioned, we are a multi-county regional council of governments. We cover 11 counties, so from Center County all the way out to Columbia, and then from Lycoming down to Perry, just north of Harrisburg. And we essentially do serve as that extension of county governments to provide expertise and service to communities, businesses, institutions, and residents. So we do cover the full gamut. We are governed by a board made up of 11 county commissioners, for which Mark Higgins is one of them and was our president last year. So we're grateful for his service. We had a great year last year under his leadership, so thank you so much. But we also have another 11 non-county commissioner board members, so for a total of 22 members on our board. So a couple of fun facts about the region that we serve. We have 294 municipalities in total, 4 cities, 76 boroughs, 213 townships, and 1 town. That's the town of Bloomsburg. So quite a lot of municipalities. It equals to about 395 in total. There are 6 other regional agencies that are similar to CEDACOG. So just for a little bit of context, we don't operate in a vacuum. There are other organizations like ours that cover multi-counties like this. Not all of them have the same scope, but we all do have a very similar core set of business services programs that we offer, and I'll talk about those in a moment. So core programs, but we all adapt to the needs of the regions, and that's why we exist. And we were set up over 50 years ago by the Appalachian Regional Commission, which is a federal agency where we are able to not only funnel technical and financial resources through us, from them to our communities and our counties. It's some of the biggest work that we do, and even here in Center County is funneling those federal funds. So what I like to do is try to explain CEDACOG in a nutshell, the easiest way to do that is put ourselves in 4 buckets because we are so large. As Commissioner Higgins mentioned, we have about 85 to 90 staff at any one time. We are the largest local development district in Pennsylvania out of the 7 of us, and we have the most variety of programs and offerings. So it does span 4 different buckets, I call them, but business services, community services, residential, and then transportation planning services. Some of the most important things that CEDACOG does for its member counties is funnel those federal funds into the region and find ways to leverage those funds to make the greatest impact in your communities. We also do act as that shared service by hosting expertise that don't exist at the communities or even the county levels, so that we can be providing that throughout many jurisdictions across the region. All right, so that's just a little bit about us. Moving into the actual activity report that's in front of you. And in 2023, CEDACOG's Business Services Program assisted Center County in the areas on the left-hand side of your sheet. That's all the business services, starting with Apex Accelerator. That was formerly known as the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and that's our group that helps companies do business with the government. And that's a really important function for our businesses, particularly here in Center County. You'll see that we assisted 72 businesses in 2023 with a total of $3.7 million in government contracts that were procured. This is tremendous. This is our largest area of activity in our 11 county region. You can see on page 2 of your report, that entire page is filled with the activities of this particular program. So I haven't seen that quite outlaid like that in any of my other counties. This is our 10th meeting like this around the region. So this is clearly by far the most activity and the biggest investment that we're able to bring to the businesses. And
Quite a few of these are Center
yeah,
County businesses.
it's a tremendous amount of offerings.
These are all just Center
Yeah.
County.
Oh,
And this
okay.
is all just Center County.
Oh,
This
so
is all
you
just Center
only
County.
listed the Center
Sorry,
County
just to be
ones.
clear, this is only
Yes.
Center
I
County.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yep, and this
Wait,
group,
yeah.
just so you have a little bit of sense of what it does, and Rob Brown, our director, is here with us today, over here on the left. We assist companies with government vending registration so that they can sell to government agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. We evaluate the potential for doing different kinds of government activities and sales with the different markets. We clarify the procurement requirements and bid opportunities. We assist them with the small business certification process, as well as the invitation to qualify, or ITQ, with CoStars, and generally just acting as a link between small business and contractors, small business and prime contractors, subcontractors, and the government. And there's just a whole lot in between all of that, but that's just in a nutshell what we can be doing with that program.
And quick interruption, Kim, serving on absolutely every single board that you have at CEDACOG. This is
Yes, you
something
have.
like 7 of them. Actuated Medical received, I believe, a large loan in 2022 to help them expand.
Oh, yes, from the
Cutting-
business services.
Yeah, I believe cutting
program,
edge
yep.
street professionals, which we just signed a contract for
Okay.
2 weeks ago with the county. Also, I believe, is in the process of receiving a loan from your loan group. And then XHAB 3D at the bottom there, I just had a tour of their facility yesterday. Really great technology.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good, good. I'm glad you recognize some of these. And again, this is a snapshot in time. We only captured 2023 activity. So
Yes.
what's happened this year in the first 6 months or previous years not on here, but we'd like to do this every year. It's a nice opportunity. We usually try to come in and sit down with the commissioners on an annual basis, but having the opportunity to actually present the material, I think, is a good opportunity. So thank you again for having us. I'm going to move on. The CEDACOG's Export Development Program was able to assist 30 businesses in Center County with preparations for potentially exporting goods overseas. And working with those 30 clients amounted to $91 million in exports from Center County alone, and we were able to acquire $60,000 in GAP award, which is basically a program where businesses can access funds to go overseas to trade shows. This is huge, not only huge, but very, very huge. Again, for some reason, I guess because of the density of businesses and startups and opportunities here in Center County, these are our largest programs numbers that we have across the region. And what's neat about the export program, and what I I'd like to leave you with here today is that we operate within a system of 10 other export programs in the state, and we have the most robust in the entire country in terms of an export program that a state operates. So we actually have an international business development program at the state level that has 13 overseas trade consultants that cover over 44 markets globally. And we assist them with businesses with market research, product compliance, export licensing, documentation, shipping, and a whole lot more, just to help them get on their way to exporting and then also execute that. So if you're aware of any businesses that are, that would like to learn more about global export business, please be in touch with us. It's a tremendous program. It probably returns the biggest investments from our team's perspective to our counties and our businesses around the region.
And Kim, on that also large list of companies, you got big ones like Advanced Power Products out of Phillipsburg, Diamondback Truck Covers out of Phillipsburg, KCF Technologies out of State College, Restech right around the corner here in Bellefonte, Exact Metal also out of State College. I also see you have Village Eating House. I am friends with the owners there. They're out of Burnside Township near Snowshoe. And I think it's a two-person operation. So glad to see that you were able to help Melanie and Clay out, too.
That's great. Yep. I don't know all of them to the degree that you
Yes.
do. Obviously, I'm glad to see that you have the connections with them. To be able to help them export their goods and services is a tremendous opportunity. And Noelle Long, as you know, is out here a lot of her time. She will be here for 11 o'clock. She's helping a business right now as we speak. So, okay. Thank you for that. Business Finance Department, that is our lending arm, and we were able to lend about $150,000 last year through this state program called the SSBCI. You know that one, Commissioner Higgins, here in Center County. That's on the low end of our loaning. We must have had a large infusion the previous year, and that was what we were able to do last year. But again, we do act similarly to a bank. We partner always on these projects with a local bank. And we bring low interest loans that have long-term fixed rates and low down payments to business startups, expansions, and otherwise across the board, all different kinds of businesses. So we have a number of revolving loan funds at CEDACOG. We also can access the Small Business Administration funds and others nationally as well. And we can do that within our 11 counties and beyond that as an opportunity to serve those outside of our region if we can.
And to show the impact, Kim, I believe between the multiple in-house loan funds you have and the various Small Business Administration loan pools, I think you're pushing about $60 million in total funds. And oftentimes you're participating with a bank anywhere from 10 to maybe 40% of the project.
Yes.
So that's actually
Yes.
somewhere in the ballpark of $250 million to $500 million of loans supported throughout your 11 county region.
Yeah, it's a pretty big number. We've been doing this for a long time, and it seems that the last few years we've even ramped up more and more. We have multi-million-dollar deals on the table right now, so we're grateful to be able to partner with the local bank. So if you know anybody in Center County that is looking for additional lending, please send them our way. We can take a look and see if that's a good fit for our portfolio. On the Economic Development Program, we did assist 8 projects with technical assistance and grants in 2023. You can see page 4 for details on that. So that's at the bottom there after the Apex Accelerator and Business Finance. We provide businesses with the opportunity to secure additional financing or funding through grants. A lot of legwork was done in 2023 to pave the way for projects to receive funding this year, many which are already coming to fruition. I won't go into those details right now, but you can see many of them on that list, and we can talk about that later, which ones are already coming through this year. In the Residential Services Division, CEDACOG partners with State College in particular to assist them with their HUD Home Housing Rehabilitation Program. In 2023, CEDACOG assisted State College on 7 projects with home rehabilitation management and technical assistance to ensure residents can remain housed affordably in that community. We do not administer a county-wide, but we are always happy to help if that's needed. The Community Services Division also has a number of other pieces to it, and I'm going to shift now to the CDBG program, which you're very familiar with, and we have some staff here from that program. Tyler Dombrowski and Leslie are here with us today. We assist communities through the planning, development, design, funding, construction, the whole gamut on much-needed public infrastructure projects. And last year, in particular, we had $1.4 million of CDBG funds that were expended here in Center County in 2023, and that listing is on page 6. So after export assistance, that's the final page. And this is a pretty significant amount of funds. We're always moving projects forward. You have a ton of projects or program years open at any one time, but what you see on this list are just those that were expended, funds were expended in 2023. Most of the projects, as you can see, are focused on water and sewer development and the rehab and the rehab as well of other critical infrastructure such as bridge rehab and streetscape improvements. So this is a very important program for our communities across the board in rural Pennsylvania. We're very grateful to be able to work with Ray Stalinas and his staff because this is a tremendous opportunity for our communities to be able to get that critical infrastructure and other community facilities taken care of where they just don't have the other local funds to be able to do that. We are constantly going to bat for this program at the national level to make sure that it's not being cut from the budget. We've seen that many times over the years. The threat of this is just too much for our local communities to be able to bear. So we would like to always make sure that this one, we're going to bat on a national scale and beyond for our local communities here in the CEDACOG region. We've been running this program for over 35 years, and we have had investments in the hundreds of millions of dollars all across this region, and it's all for the benefit of the low to moderate income, but also for the entire community. So great program.
And a little aside there, I noticed you have the Moshannon Valley Training Center for the
Yes.
Moshannon Valley Ambulance Service, Appalachian Regional Commission project. Just wanted to mention one of your superstars, Betsy Lockwood. We went well over a decade with no Appalachian Regional Commission grants, even though we are very much in the Appalachian Mountain area. And working with Betsy over the last 9 years, we've won an Appalachian Regional Commission grant practically every year, definitely every other year, totaling millions. So just want to thank you, thank Betsy, thank the rest of the staff.
Thank you,
for
Betsy.
all those projects.
Somehow I missed highlighting her when we were on her section, but yes, Betsy's with us today. We're grateful for the work. She knows Center County inside and out and has been working here for a long time. So she's on it for you. So
Always is.
thank you for
Appreciate it.
recognizing her. Thank you. The community revitalization front, that's a new area for us here in Center County. We have focused for the last 4 years in lower Northumberland County in the city of Shamokin. We had a big state grant that was able to set us there and help with that distressed community for many years. We've been coming up and out across the region over the last year or so, and we have a number of different programs. I won't go into them in detail, but you can see some of the things that we have assisted with in Center County. And so we're trying to bring our community capacity position, which is a new position that we have funded from the ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, until the end of this year, to be able to write grants. So we've been trying to enter in. You have a lot of capacity here in Center County, so a lot less capacity in the rest of our region, but we've been trying to filter in and provide assistance where we can to Center Region COG or the State College Borough or some of the other groups that are writing grants in this region. But anything that we can do to help, we are starting up a new EPA, Environmental Protection Agency brownfields program, where we're able to do assessments and ultimately cleanup plans. And then eventually we actually do have the $1 million of funds to be able to do the cleanups themselves. So we have a multitude of grants coming from EPA, all of which are going to be accessible to all of our counties. And so I know we've been working with your staff to try to find some sites and locations here, and we'll continue to do so as those programs get up and running. But if you have any that you know that are contaminated, perception of contamination and hazardous materials, those kinds of sites are key for that program. And we're trying to bring those funds to the region, which we've never been able to do before. So really great time right now to access EPA funds. And finally, although we do not have direct transportation planning services, because Center County has its own MPO in the Center Region COG, we do partner with them from time to time due to the adjacency and overlap of work. They're a really great partner. Obviously, Jim Saylor came from our shop. He was with us for 14 years and now with the Center County MPO. So we have a great relationship with him, and we find ways that we can work together across borders on particular transportation corridors when need be. So we do have that service, but you have that covered by the COG here. And then lastly, the Joint Rail Authority. We have the Nittany and Bald Eagle Railroad running through Center County here. We have Steve Beatty, the Executive Director of the CEDACOG Joint Rail Authority. Particularly that line that runs through Center County runs from Tyrone through Bellefonte and all the way up to Lock Haven. We're seeing about 6,700 carloads a year on that line, about 17 customers throughout that stretch. So it's a significant piece of the economic development puzzle here in the areas of our region where we've been able to preserve rail line for economic development. Again, my predecessors, Steve's predecessors, had the forethought 40 plus years ago to be able to develop this authority and preserve the old Conrail abandoning lines, to be able to bring those back to life and provide that opportunity for rail served sites. And we're constantly looking for additional opportunities to serve customers. So great opportunity.
To bring that a little closer to the citizens of Center County.
Yes.
The children of Center County.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Steve and his contractor, the North Shore Railroad.
Yes.
Brandy Ryder and I of Senator Dush's office were working over a year ago along with Commissioners Dersham and Concepcion on revitalizing the Bellefonte Historical Railroad. And turns out, of course, North Shore ended up doing a lot of the lifting on that. And the children have been so happy. We've now had, I think, 3 or 4 major opportunities for them to ride on the passenger trains loaned from the North Shore Railway. The tickets have sold out. The Happy Valley Adventure Bureau is certainly pretty happy too about that, and they've also
That's
provided
fantastic.
support. So everybody worked together as a team, and we made it happen for the kids.
That's
so
great.
Appreciate that.
Those are some of the most fun things that we can highlight around the region when we have those excursions. So thanks for helping to make that happen, Commissioner. And in conclusion, CEDACOG really is grateful to utilize so many of our service areas here in Center County. I'm happy to present for every $1 that Center County invested in CEDACOG in 2023, $241 were invested back into this county through our programs, services, and funding sources that we were able to procure and or administer for Center County. So happy to take any questions. Otherwise, we'll see each other a little bit after the meeting's over.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, no questions except just, thank you for your work with all these businesses. Like when you look at the accelerator list of businesses and then even on, as you're looking at the export, these are, some of the kinds of like entrepreneurial, locally based growing businesses that really fuel our local economy.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them are really high tech, and you can see how the kind of expertise we have coming from the university translates into these kind of high tech organizations that with your help through CEDACOG are able to get the assistance they need to grow and continue.
We're happy to do it. That's what we're here for.
Stay here in Center County.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting that this is hidden from you in a lot of ways. You don't see this because we work with the businesses. So it was really important to us the more we thought about it this year, because Rob, sometimes Betsy, but Noel with the export program, they don't need to come before the commissioners for any approvals or activity reports such as with our community side of the house, community development block grant and otherwise. So you don't see that activity. And when we started to compile it, we said, wow, this is pretty important. We want to bring this to the commissioners' attention. So please do keep in mind that these programs exist and funnel people our way when you meet them, and just keep the word out for us.
So who is the best contact at CEDACOG for any local businesses that are looking for technical assistance?
We will. Do you want to do it? Betsy Lockwood.
Okay.
Sure.
Great.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And then she'll funnel it from there. Okay.
Great. Thank
Anything
you.
else? Thank you so much for your time.
Commissioner Dersham, do you have any comments or questions?
Well, I think, we enjoy probably one of the lower, if not lowest, unemployment
Yeah.
rates in our region, and it's largely because of the efforts of all these businesses working so hard to keep employment strong. And the fact that you support them and provide them with the resources they need to be successful is pretty important, so we really appreciate that.
It's all part of the big puzzle, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it, the
All
economic
the other
development
things,
puzzle.
The Community Development Block Grant
Yeah.
program in Center County has always been a fantastic way that we've been able to help the smaller communities with their water and sewer infrastructure, and that continues to be a pretty strong area. So
Piece of-
everything you do has been successful with us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have a couple other members of the team that weren't noted. I want to recognize Nancy Osborne. She is our communications and marketing coordinator, and living here in Center County, not Spring Mills, yes? Spring Mills.
Spring Mills.
Spring Mills. Yep. So happy to have her on our team. She's doing a fantastic job and put those packets together for you. Very easily readable. And then we have Lucy Ann Veerling, our new Deputy Director of Operations. So we'll get a chance to acquaint each other a little bit in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
That's wonderful. And of course, Nancy lives very close to a CDBG project there at the Old Greg School. Actually, I think it was 2 projects. Thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate all the work that CEDACOG does for Center County. We are the physically second largest county in your region, and definitely the one with the highest population. And hopefully the small businesses, medium-sized, even large businesses in the area that need any assistance, banks looking to de-risk a loan that they'd love to give, but they can't quite be in for, say, a full 80 or 90% of the project, contact CEDACOG. You have over a dozen different loan pools you can pull from, and try to find a way to make that project happen. So appreciate everything you and your staff have done for Center County for, I think it's over 50 years now, isn't it? Yeah. 51, yeah, I think we just celebrated the 50th. Yeah, I think the year before I was, yeah. So that's fabulous. Any questions from the press? No? All right. Well, thanks again for the presentation, and we'll chat a little bit later. Now I'll turn it over to John for resolution number 7 of 2024.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you for consideration is a resolution that declares that the county would enter into an 18-month bridge power service agreement with Direct Energy for our energy needs until, as we continue to work on the solar power purchase agreement. So our current contract covers us through the end of the year. This would then kick in January 1 and run for 18 months at a declared rate. We had received an initial quote that was less than 7 cents a kilowatt hour, which is a very favorable rate. So the first step in this would be to approve a resolution, and then we would immediately receive a written quote that we would sign off on.
And John, I believe you did contact our current energy consultant, and they were just not able to match an estimate for the rate we were receiving.
Their estimate on their next procurement event would put them in the 8 to 8.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and we're thinking we can get under 7 cents.
Okay.
All right.
Good deal.
All right. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, that sounds mathematically simple. So.
All right. Commissioner Dershowitz?
Yep, good to go.
All right.
Then I'll move to adopt resolution 7 of 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting resolution number 7 of 2024, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any questions from the press on that particular resolution?
John, any particular reason why there's delays in the solar purchase agreement? Why the initial idea, why there's been delays, why it's taking longer than expected?
Because there's so many moving parts with the power purchase agreement. You have the developer, and then because of the level of energy that's being created, that's being dumped into the grid, we're not directly purchasing from the provider that goes into the overall infrastructure, and there's different procurement pieces that have to occur. So there's a lot of moving parts that require legal review and agreement. So we've been working through that legal review process.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on now to contracts and authorizations. We have a capital actually two projects for Jonathan to talk about.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm asking for your consideration to approve the contract with MGM Mechanical to replace 3 HVAC units at the Phillipsburg MDJ office. These units will be replaced with 14 SEER high-efficiency gas furnace units.
All right. That MDJ office has been there quite a while, and stuff does wear out.
Yeah, those units are over 20 years old,
Wow. I think we got more than our expected life out of those.
definitely.
Commissioner Concepcion, questions? Commissioner Dershowitz?
No.
All right.
Okay, I'll move to add the contract with MGM Mechanical to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the contract with MGM Mechanical, Inc. to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then, Jonathan, you've got another contract for us.
Yes, I'm asking for your consideration to approve Nittany Building installing an ADA-operated storefront on the lower entrance to the Willowbank Building. This would be the Recorder of Deeds entrance. Currently, there is not an ADA-operated door, so this would be a building improvement.
Appreciate your thoroughness in moving that forward, Jonathan. Commissioner Concepcion?
It's important to have accessibility. That's
Yes.
certainly an office the public needs to access. So.
Yes. Commissioner Dershowitz, any
No,
questions?
good to go. Thank you.
All right.
All right, I'll move to add the contract with Nittany Building Specialties to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the contract with Nittany Building Specialties, Inc. to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks again,
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right, now back to John with an item for the commissioners.
If you recall, a few weeks ago, we had authorized to acquire a columbarium for unclaimed remains. We have remains that date back, several decades of unclaimed individuals, and the commissioners, as you recall, you decided to create a final resting place for these residents. That work has been underway, and one final piece that we were working out at that time was the actual service of a crane service to have the columbarium set in place. So before you is the contract with the crane service to complete that work. The contract total is $2,479.
And again, the commissioners would like to thank the anonymous family that donated those plots in memory of our former deputy coroner, Judy Plasconko. Very
I
much
think it's
appreciate
already
that.
installed. At least there is a columbarium right along High Street that I
Oh,
presume
wow.
is the one.
We were told the work was underway, so, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Good.
there. So
Wonderful.
it's right along, it's literally 15, 20 feet off of High Street.
Great. Commissioner Concepcion, any additional comments?
Yeah, no, just like I assume we'll be having some kind of a ceremony in the future too.
We are putting together to have a service, yes.
Great.
Wonderful.
Sounds good. Then I'll move to approve the contract with Happy Valley Monuments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Happy Valley Monuments. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now Carrie from Criminal Justice Planning has 3 items.
Yes, good morning. Here to request the board's permission to submit a grant modification to the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for our current federal state opioid response grant, which supports our medicated assisted treatment at the Center County Correctional Facility. This modification will request an extension. The grant is currently slated to end September 29th of this year. This extension would be for 9 months for June 30th of 2025. I'll also be adjusting a few of the existing budget line items to align with the current spending since we didn't anticipate having the funding until 2025. This funding was for $500,000 if you recall, and it funds the medicated assisted treatment program at the jail. PCCD is currently requesting extension through SAMHSA. Once that gets approved, then they would approve the county's request for extensions. So that is the first one. Did you want me to go to the other ones? or-
Yeah, we'll approve all 3 at the same
Okay.
time.
All right. The second one is for a new grant submission to PCCD for the Act 80 funds to support an expansion of medicated assisted treatment at the Center County Correctional Facility. So this is a non-competitive solicitation to which every county is given an allocation should they choose to apply. Center County is allotted $93,844, and it would be for the grant period period of October 1 of 2024 through September 30th of 2026. But this would only be specifically at this point for Vivitrol, which is one drug for Medicaid-assisted treatment. There's current legislation that is pending that would allow us to add additional Medicaid-assisted treatment medications. So we're waiting to see how that fares out. But we would like to apply for this funding as well. MAT is a wonderful program, but the medications are highly expensive. So this funding is extremely helpful to get folks started on their MAT protocol while they're incarcerated. All right, and then the last one is a contract. This is an annual contract we do for our CIT coordinator, who is Tracy Small. Tracy's been the CIT coordinator for 13 years, since 2011. She came the first year after the CIT program started in 2010. So this is a contract from July 1 to June 30th of next year. Grand total for the contract amount would be $34,716.72. Of that, we do get local contribution from the municipal police departments in the amount of $20,384. So Tracy, this week is CIT training week. So graduation will be Friday. This is our 25th session of CIT. Typically there are 2 classes held a year. Currently we have 464 first responders trained. That is before the count for Friday's graduation. So that's pretty impressive. And we're excited because Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency is actually coming on Friday to honor Center County CIT program.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
I'll be sending you all an email with more details on that. But yeah, so that is the last one I have.
Great. Well, we'd like to thank our federal, state, and local elected officials for the grant funding for these criminal justice initiatives. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
No, just, I've heard such rave reviews about the training that goes on with the CIT program and how it really equips first responders and law enforcement to have the skills to, when they're walking into a situation that's really in flux and maybe very volatile, to de-escalate. And how that training is really important for local safety and for protecting lives. And yes, this program does good work. So.
Great. Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions, comments?
No, it's all good. I think it all speaks for itself. We've got some pretty effective programming going on
Yeah.
in Center County, so thank you.
Tracy does a great job. I know you're a graduate of the CIT
Yeah,
program.
she does a great job.
Yeah. All right, looks like we could take a motion then.
I'll move to approve criminal justice items 1 through 3.
I will second that.
We have motion and a second to approve the 3 items for criminal justice planning. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you.
Now, talking about community development and planning, we have Tyler and Leslie to talk about some Department of Community and Economic Development grants for the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again. Tyler Dombrowski, the Director of the Community Development Program here at CEDACOG. Leslie Hosterman's with me today. She's going to be taking over Center County Project Management for CDBG, so we're glad to have her aboard and know she's going to do a great job for the county. Leslie is also a Center County native, so she's looking forward to hitting the ground running here. So just at the last board meeting, there was a letter submitted to DCD concerning additional funding requests for the Penn Township project. Since the last meeting, that's been submitted to DCD and is under review. But as a part of this ongoing process with the Penn Township project, and we've had a couple conversations, excuse me, with DCD, that the oldest money that's funding this project is from 2020, and there's a contract termination date for that money of March 8th, 2025. So we alerted DCD a couple months ago that we thought that we were probably going to need more time on this project, and so we open the bids, we obviously are going to need to, as it notes on your agenda here, we're looking to rebid the electrical portion of this project, hoping with the additional funds we're able to move forward with the general construction, which is a majority of the budget of the project. But we are, just knowing what the lead times are with the storage tank and whatnot, we're going to need more time. So the letter for your consideration is an amendment request to DCD for a 6-month extension for their consideration. So again, they've known this was coming, and so hopefully they'll be willing to grant the extension.
Great. Commissioner Concepcion, questions? Commissioner Dershowitz?
Good.
All right.
I will move to approve the terminate date amendment for the DCED FFY 2020 CDBG funds.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the terminate date amendment for the Department of Community and Economic Development Federal Fiscal Year 2020 Community Development Block Grant Funds.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. So all those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. And then I see we do have a Community Development Block Grant 2024 project review on the agenda.
Yes, thank you. So we, as we do every year with the CDBG program, develop a tentative schedule for the annual application process. So there was public outreach made throughout Center County going back to April 19th, letting municipalities know that the funding has been opened up for project proposals again this year. And a first public hearing was held on May 9th here for any interested applicants to learn more about the program. And we had a deadline of May 31st as far as submissions were concerned. So we have 6 submissions here today to just quickly go over. The first is for Haynes Woodward Water Authority. So last year, the county had allocated $215,700 to this project. It's a water line replacement along Mountain Avenue, which is essentially Route 45, right as you're going through Woodward. So when that submission was made last year, it was done knowing that there's going to be close to an $80,000 shortfall. So for your consideration again this year is to fully finance that project, since there is still a funding gap of nearly $80,000. But that project was qualified last year, so otherwise that one's ready to go. Pretty straightforward. So a proposal was also received from Haynes Aaronsburg Municipal Authority to do a water main replacement along Plum Street, which is a block or two back off of Route 45. So we have an initial cost estimate of $439,000 for that project, but in discussions with Ross Tirado, there's some additional information that's needed on that project. Both as far as who the users are of that water line, and an income survey is going to need to be completed. So just going back to the schedule, we do have tentatively July 9th as project selection for the county, but with this being such a large submission and not knowing fully at this point whether it qualifies or not, we really want to have that survey fully fleshed out on whether it qualifies or not before we have the board make any decisions. So we may have to follow up and maybe push back that July 9th date. But Leslie's been in follow-up contact with Ross. Actually just talked with him on the phone last night. And Ross was supposed to have some information for us today. And as of just a couple minutes before the meeting, we are still waiting on it. So we're working through that. Also, what Ross also for Haynes Aaronsburg Municipal Authority proposed sewer lateral replacements for low to moderate income qualified homeowners that may need to have their sewer lateral replaced. So again, we need some more information on Ross on that project as well. Penn Township submitted a request to purchase a new pump for their sewer plant. It was only about a $10,000 request, and with CDBG, and just the number of fixed costs that kind of come right off the bat with the funding, with needing to do an environmental review, potentially if there's installation involved, having to pay federal prevailing wage, potentially needing to have an engineer help develop specifications. It could take a $10,000 project and make it like a $25,000 project pretty quickly with this money. So it probably is not a right fit for this funding. So, but we did get that submission, and ultimately it is the board's choice on whether you want to fund it. And then Penn Township also submitted a request to purchase a generator for their water well, but it's a mobile generator, and we're not able to purchase mobile equipment with CDBG, so that one's not eligible. And then going back the past year or two, we understand that there had been some prior discussion about potentially partnering with Union County Housing Authority about doing housing rehab work in the county. So we just put that on the list as well as for the potential consideration of the board. So $82,000 was put down for that proposal. So we have some homework that we still need to do on our end, but wanted to take this opportunity to brief the board on where things stand with this year's program.
Great. Well, thanks for the detail, Tyler. Looks like we have several items we need to follow up on,
Yep.
potentially including the housing rehab. We might end up having a waiting list for the whole home program from the state of PA, which was a fabulous grant that I think a lot of counties were happy to receive. Love to have a second round on that for our state legislative representatives in the room. Commissioner Concepcion, any
Yeah, it
questions?
sounds like there's some moving parts. I think it might be helpful for us to have a meeting with our planning department to go over the requests and think about what's a systematic way of approaching these. So,
Yes, and we did touch base with planning last week to go over things, but yeah, there's definitely going to need to be some follow-up before anything's presented to the board.
Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions?
What's the status of the Eagle Creek project in Bald Eagle
Yes.
Valley?
So, just for the public's knowledge, the board did allocate, I believe, about $100,000 over 2 fiscal years for the Eagle Creek project. This is a mobile home park, I believe up in the northern end of the county. So a competitive CDBG application was submitted to DCD back in February for roughly about $1 million to help finance that project. And so we still have not heard anything back as far as a decision with that or any other competitive applications for that matter. So I would anticipate that an announcement should be made pretty directly one way or the other, but we can follow up on that when we make the outreach as far as the deadline extension that we already talked about.
Does it strengthen their application if we apply more money from our allocation?
I would say at this juncture, given that a decision I would think is imminent and how long it's going to take yet to move through this process, probably not. But if we are unsuccessful, that's a follow-up conversation we can certainly have to see if that would help strengthen the proposal.
And I know we have letters of support from Senator Dush, from State Representative Paul Takak, and I've been spending some time personally lobbying DCED officials on that particular
Good.
project, because I just don't see any other way a community that small is going to be able to meet the requirements from the Department of Environmental Protection.
I concur, and just when Mitzi was with us 2 years ago, I worked with her closely on that application and thought it was a good one. And then so obviously it was unsuccessful last year, and so after finding out the bad news, worked with Mitzi before she left, and then Tanya Collins while she was with us, and I thought we really had a great application that we submitted back in February. So I would be surprised if it was not approved, given that I thought it was very competitive, but it's ultimately in the hands of the folks in Harrisburg. So.
And I think all but 6 of the families in that neighborhood also sent in letters of support, which is a very high percentage for
Yeah.
those type of projects.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Any other questions on the project reviews? Great. Well, thank you very much, Tyler and Leslie. Appreciate your work on this.
course,
Now
thank you.
we'll move forward to our consent agenda from last week's meeting.
I will move to approve this week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to 3 letters of support. The first one, I believe, is from Leah for the Community Alternatives in, Center for Alternatives in Community Justice, CACJ, 2024 application for Reimagining Justice, testing a new model of community safety grant.
Good morning.
Morning.
The Center for Alternatives and Community Justice, the CACJ, has applied or is applying for a 3-year grant that is essentially working to rebuild the images of law enforcement and work to reduce the number of children that are getting involved with the juvenile justice system. And so what they're looking to do is to, their letter of support is asking for our agency to be a referral source should they obtain this grant. They are looking to work with the State College Area School District, the Bald Eagle Area School District, and the Bellefonte Area School District to start with, to be able to provide enhanced mental health services and community services in the school districts to be able to deter children from becoming involved with the juvenile justice system. And so they are asking for our letter of support to provide referrals should they obtain this grant. And then their hope is that if they achieve this grant for the 3 years, they will then be able to expand into additional school districts and continue to provide the service.
Great. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, so you mentioned it's partly kind of changing students who might be
Correct.
at-risk students,
Yes.
their perceptions of law enforcement.
Yes.
And can you go into a little more
Yeah,
detail
so what
on-
I know of the grant is that they will work to partner with the local law enforcement agencies, and so some of their programming will be tied into the local law enforcement agencies to help promote that positive interaction and relationship with local law enforcement, and then also help to deter them from becoming involved with the system.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Dershowitz, questions?
All good.
All right.
Okay. I will move to approve the letter of support for Center for Alternatives and Community Justice.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the letter of support for Center for Alternatives and Community Justice. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
Leah.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And now talking about effective economic development groups who operate in Center County. We have Eric Engelbarts of the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau with a letter of support for something you were very successful on last year.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here to kindly request a letter of support for the DCED Sports Marketing and Tourism Grant Program application. We feel your support is critical for our grant application to secure funding that will greatly contribute to the success of the upcoming Ironman 70.3 triathlon. The financial commitment involved in hosting an event of this magnitude is substantial, and the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, along with the Happy Valley Sports and Entertainment Alliance, would greatly appreciate your support in this endeavor. For the second year, Ironman 70.3 Triathlon, we're expecting significant participation and engagement. Currently, we have 1,600 registered participants from over 12 countries and 45 states, with most drawing from major markets like Philadelphia, New York, and Washington, D.C. Over 700 registered volunteers, and support or coordination from over 55 local agencies. Furthermore, our detailed estimates through the Destination International Event Impact Calculator, and then verified by the audit of the Pennsylvania Independent Fiscal Office, shows that the Ironman 70.3 Triathlon supports 1,680 persons or 35 annual full-time equivalent jobs, over $220,000 in state tax revenue, $80,000 in local tax revenue generated, and an estimated economic impact of excess of $4 million. So we're requesting the grant money to offset a portion of the facility rental at Penn State and the Ironman host event fees, and this funding is vital for the success of the event and the continued economic benefits it brings to the community. Thank you for your time.
So when is the one coming up this weekend?
It is on Sunday.
This is the one, 70.3?
70.3.
This Sunday.
Is this Sunday?
It's this
Yep.
Sunday.
Yep, June 30th, yeah.
So there will be a lot of cyclists, over 1,600 of them, cycling through Center and I think a small portion of Clinton County.
That's correct.
And then there'll be some roads closed in State College, including northbound University Drive, close to my house. And then we'll have 1,600 people running a half marathon, primarily on campus as well.
That is correct, yes.
And thanks to all the volunteers who are participating, which this year will include me. You were very successful in this application. Last year, I think you were the only grantee outside of the Philly and Pittsburgh areas.
That is correct, yeah, 1 of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Commissioner
So
Concepcion?
you still looking for volunteers for this weekend?
Yes, we are. Yeah, absolutely. It takes just a little less than 1,000 volunteers, so we're covered on, the vast majority of jobs, but more is always needed. So yes, there are still opportunities available.
And a fun event to be part of. So who would someone get in touch with if they were interested in volunteering?
Absolutely. You can head to the website. If you just Google Ironman 70.3 Happy Valley, or you head to the Happy Valley Sports Entertainment website, we can get you right to the volunteer opportunities.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Commissioner Dershowitz?
Oh, sounds great. It's going to be a heck of a weekend.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the swimming going on.
Yes, up at Bald Eagle.
Bald Eagle, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I know I've had some friends who are kayakers. They're sometimes, even though you start with a swim, sometimes people can't quite make it through the swim, and so that's why we need the kayakers out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would be one of them.
I would be the second one of them. I've swum that far twice in my life, and I was a lot younger then.
Do a lot better in a kayak.
Yes. Anything else you'd like to add, Eric?
No, thank you for your time today.
All right, we'll take a motion
I
then.
will move to approve the letter of support for the Ironman Pennsylvania Happy Valley event grant application through the DCED.
I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the letter of support for the Ironman Pennsylvania Happy Valley event grant application through the Department of Community and Economic Development. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any questions from the press about the Ironman? No? No? Okay. Move on. Thanks again, Eric. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And then we'll move over to John with a PennDOT letter.
Yes, so this would be the county requesting PennDOT District 2 to advertise publicly for a new 6-year agreement to provide local bridge inspection services. And as part of that, our planning and community development office we are requesting that they would be a part of the vetting of the consultants
Good.
in that consultant selection service.
All right. Good. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion, Commissioner Dershowitz? No? All right.
I'll move to approve the letter for PennDOT District 2O.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the PennDOT letter to District 2-0. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to our check run with Commissioner Concepcion.
Okay, so the check that I'd like to highlight today is to Center County United Way, reflecting generosity of Center County government employees who donate to the United Way. And with that, I would make a motion to approve the check run dated June 21st, 2024.
I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the check run dated June 21st. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Is there an administrator's report, John?
Nothing to report at this
All right.
time.
So back to Commissioner Concepcion for our voter registration report.
Okay, so today we have 101,499 total voters registered at Center County. Of those, 42,400 are Democratic, 147 Green Party, 599 Libertarian, 14,159 with no affiliation, and 41,179 registered Republican. All of the other smaller parties comprise 3,015 voters, bringing us to that number of 101,499. The party that I'd like to recognize today is the Italian Party, which is an interesting a choice for registering. I hope they're not as chaotic as Italian politics tend to be.
Well, they're famous for a lot of other things too, including
Yes.
wonderful food.
That's true, but Their party politics are interesting and sometimes inscrutable. So anyways, moving on to the precinct of the week, we have Precinct 60, Liberty Township. They vote at Faith Baptist Church at the lower level entry at 143 Liberty Street in Blanchard, and we'd like to thank Faith Baptist Church for the use of that facility. There are 980 registered voters in Precinct 60. At the last election in April, there was a turnout of 29%. So, and that is our voter report.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Concepcion. Under other announcements, Center County government offices will be closed on Thursday, July 4th in observance of Independence Day. Are there any executive sessions to report or hold, John?
None to hold, however, the commissioners did meet on June 18th from 2:05 to 2:41 p.m. to discuss a personnel matter.
All right, and remainder of the public meeting schedule. We have our Finance Committee meeting on Thursday, June 27th, Salary Board and Board of Commissioners meeting combined at 10 a.m. And then on Tuesday, July 2nd, we have the Board of Commissioners meeting at 10 and a work session at 11. Any additional questions from the press? No? All right, looks like
All
we
right.
can take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn then.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 11 o'clock. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks for coming, everyone.